All right, and here we are back at Jerry Collis Field for the baseball pregame show right here on GoGaze.com and also on our YouTube channel. Rob Chavez, the Hall of Famer, Kenny Calvin, and another Hall of Famer.
The realest Hall of
Famer. Right over here. Colby Lewis. Colby, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
It'll be a good time.
And we kind of wanted to get started off. Obviously, you know, your name's up on that board over there as one of the former major leaguers here that came to Bakersfield College. But kind of explain a little bit about what that road was like, because, again, I'm a year behind you, and I know what you went through your senior year over at North High, and then from there just kind of like a springboard.
Yeah, there was a couple, as I like to call them, even talking with the guys that I do now with my job that I have with the Rangers. I definitely had a couple speed bumps in the way there. I just missed my senior year due to Tommy John surgery right after. I thought I was actually going to be able to play a little bit of football. My mom was going to let me play football my senior year, and then I wound up blowing out 2 weeks before tryout. So, but wound up having surgery. What was it? September of '96. Missed '97, my senior year. And then got up here and got to talking with Coach Payton and stuff like that, and said he was going to give me an opportunity. I mean, just like everybody else, got to come up here and make a ball club though first, you know. So
right.
I mean, there's no free passes.
Right.
So so I had to come up and show him that I was healthy. Kind of started out of the bullpen and then finished the year as a starter, and then just kept growing. I grew 2.5 inches out of high school, so put on 20 pounds, and then came back and my sophomore year through the. As like a lot of people say, threw really hard.
Yeah.
And so
you would say so.
Got a lot of people to notice, a lot of scouts to come, and it was fortunate. I felt like it was really, really good for everybody else as well. There's a lot of talent up here at the time. You know, Blake McGinley. We had Octavio Martinez. That was catching me at the time. Even Sean Barker. There was a lot of talent to kind of come through here, and everybody got a good peek and a good notice when that ball club was up here. So,
all right, being part of the board and watching you and Octavio be brought into the Hall of Fame, one of the most special moments for me was watching Coach P.
Right.
See you guys through the experience, and you just referenced Coach Payton. How was it to see him finally get his roses inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple months ago for Bob Elias?
Well, I think it was just a matter of time. I mean, it was just. I think it's just. I think what do we have to do? Sit out X amount of years, or something like that, before you're actually eligible or whatever. I mean, we all knew that he was going to be a first ballot guy. So
absolutely.
And it's. I mean, it was for me and all the other guys. I mean, it's just a true testament of how many guys showed up and wanted to be a part of that and see, let him have his glory. Because he was always about us, and so it was one of those things for us to kind of like give that back to him and show that support and that gratitude that he gave us all those years. So
it made my night, man. I'm a different sport guy, but seeing you guys come together for him, it was goosebumps and tears for me, because I know how much he put into molding men, and he's one of the first names you reference as you sit at this table, and that's impactful.
Well, for sure, and I think that the biggest testament is, you're at this baseball field even when you turn like I did when some of these guys that came out of this program turned pro, and like this is your life, like when you're at the ball field. I mean, you're at the ball field more than you're at the house, and so it takes a big backing and a large support of family members to, dedicate basically your life, and that's what he did to this program, and so and it showed, and it was huge. I mean, for all of us to have that opportunity to have him, as our coach. So
yeah, and talking about that, I mean, we as players are here. Like you said, 14 hours throughout the day, whether it's at school and class, weight room training, doing whatever, and then right here at practice. P was here just the same amount of time.
Oh, if not more.
If not more.
No, he was up here more like Townie.
Right, Townie, yeah.
Does the same thing. I mean, I feel like it's like their little getaway that's like, maybe put some headphones on and kind of the release of not really actually worrying about coaching or anything else. Like get up here and mow the field and just kind of like have his cup of coffee and do his thing, So, but it's kind of like the same thing, when you drive down the street, you want to have the nicest looking lawn on the block, and so that's the way he felt about this field. So
yes, as Renegades, we're some of the luckiest people in the world, because right now I'm thinking about these guys are getting ready to play a game, and they have one of the most impactful men in the world of Major League Baseball, in the offices for the Rangers, about to take part in this playoffs. You know, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is a lucky experience, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
No, I mean, I like I said, I feel fortunate enough to have the opportunity to come up here. I was up here for about a year, and it took a lot of time out of just, I mean, my kids were still, my son's getting ready to graduate, and it was just, I didn't want to dive back into something that was completely, living on the other side of town,
Right.
and then traveling out of town, and then plus traveling as much as I do with the Rangers and doing all that kind of stuff. So I just didn't want to kind of fall right back into that. Like, I was gone for the first 12 years of my son's life, and then now it's like, okay, I'm gonna jump right back into coaching, and then with the Rangers, and so it was just kind of spiraling into me being gone all the time again, and I didn't want to do that, and it was unfortunate. I mean, I feel like maybe in the next 4 years or so, and when my daughter gets through high school, I'll spend a little more time up here and get back as much as I can.
Yeah, well, and then talking about that, I mean, you were around high school baseball just for a little bit, when you came back up here to help out with the program. And a lot of times we use this platform to talk to local guys that are here in town about their options. And, there's, because of how much information and footage and all that stuff through YouTube, through all the social media pages that we didn't have when we were playing in high school, everybody seems as if they feel because – they're on a club team. They win all these different things. Like you said, you got to make a club, right? Even coming up here to a junior college level.
For sure.
I mean, what is the real appeal about being able to come to a JUCO rather than always having your sights set on Vanderbilt or UCLA or USC or possibly getting drafted in the first top 10, rounds?
First of all, I think it's just you have to find yourself as what type of player are you? You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a lot of misconception out there, especially with parents that think that it's like it's like if I do all this training, then I should go to a D1 school, and I was on this club team, so then and this person went there, then I should be able to do that, right? So I mean, it's just you don't really understand. Like even when you come up here to BC, like everybody in this valley and outside this valley, like. Because during our times up here at BC, I mean, you wanted to go to BC because it's like this is the program that is going to put you on the next platform, So, and I think that's like what people don't understand is like I have played with buddies in high school that I was like, oh, they should make and they wind up getting cut up here at BC.
Right.
So it's like it's just you don't understand how competitive it gets just from here locally in the valley, let alone you go outside the state and now you're working about thinking that you're going to make a ball club over if you want to go to UCLA or USC or anything like that. I mean, they're drawn from all over the world.
Right.
And, Latin players are still coming over, getting their education. I mean, the things that we do even in our organization with the Rangers, it's incredible. So,
we're going to see a kid from Korea here playing for Canyons,
right.
And he's an absolute stud. He was a high school and a club playing phenomenon over in Korea, and he's playing for Canyons right here in Santa Clarita here in California. And we were having this conversation a little bit earlier about how just the CC AAA, I mean, that in itself throughout the state of California is chock full of talent, the best of the best that may have already gotten drafted. Yeah, and they're here,
and that's what's wild is that the level of talent that is actually out there, and I mean it has gotten better because of the level of like the accessibility to the training these kids get, right? So there's a lot more out there. There's a lot more analytics and all the the Rapsodos and all the TrackMan information and all that kind of stuff is is they're really perfecting their craft at a younger age, and so, but. For me, like I've always said, it's like I want them to be more of a well-rounded athlete. I mean, it's just like you can't continue to be like, okay, well, I'm ripping a fastball at 9 years old, and I'm going to keep doing this thing until like, and then you're going to eventually you're going to wind up blowing out. I mean, it just happens, So.
We was talking about that with BJ UC right over here.
Right.
He brought his boy up here for a lesson, and he's like, I just want them to have a good time with it, and with his club team, he's like, I give couple months off. There's got these other club teams that are 11 months a year, and it's like, wow, that's a lot. So
there's only certain states that you really can do that in. California, Florida, Texas and stuff like that. But Arizona. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's pretty incredible. I mean, I really wish parents would kind of like kind of narrow down things in their minds,
Right.
that like and realize how hard it actually is to get even on a junior college team, and then move on to any sort of division program
Right.
in college.
Right.
So it's just, it's a rude awakening for a lot of parents. Like
Sure.
when they graduate high school and they're like, well, what do you mean we don't have any offers? Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talent out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, really quick, I wanted to be able to end this by talking about the Hall of Fame process. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys are both involved. I know your wife
wife is,
Jenny's
especially, yeah.
is she's the head of everything right now with that. How is that going along? You guys can kind of talk a little bit more about that and what we're looking forward to this fall.
Well, the process is streaming along. We have our nominations portal open on GoGays.com. We want to encourage everybody to go up, and nominate those people who deserve the opportunity. I mean, and that's one of the things that I wanted to ask Kobe before we got to the Hall of Fame. This is the first week of Major Leagues. Who are some of the former players that we've had in our environment that you're excited to see continue on as we get started this year?
Through BC,
just through Bakersfield baseball as a whole and the baseball community.
Well, yeah, I think there's continuation of guys that we can continue to have to look at,
Right.
and that are for the guys that kind of went through the program up here. But yeah, I'm excited. My wife is she's the one that's knows a lot more about everything and goes to all the meetings and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, anytime I can get up here and help with her, and when she sits down and brings the list out and everything else, I definitely go over everything and bring up my points and remember those type of players, former players and stuff like
Right,
that.
because one of the things for me, we're different generations, so we need
Right.
to know who the players are from those different pockets, and we're going to make sure they get the recognition that they deserve, man. So It's an exciting process. Proud of Jenny for setting everything and getting everything rolling. Her and Todd have been very busy.
Busy as
preparing.
always, and
Yeah.
she's a party planner today.
Oh,
You guys got a big party going on. let me know. And he's always good to be able to join us for things like that. So I appreciate that. So we had Colby on. We had Ron on. So there's a couple things that you have in common with both those guys. Colby, you also played in the major leagues.
Yep.
So did Colby. And then you had a chance to play right up here with Ron Valenti. So
Ron Valenti, yeah.
how was that, playing with a guy like Ron Valenti, playing for Walt Johnson and Coach Dameron, like he was explaining to us? I want to hear it from your perspective now.
Well, Ron Valenti, if you look at him now, he's got the same body he had.
Yes, he does.
1968. Mine not so much. But I was fortunate to know my first year up here was had Jerry Collis. That was his coach. First year at football coach, and his last year at baseball coach.
Yeah, so he was doubling up that year for you guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I spoke about how special it was for me to learn that Coach Dameron coached baseball because he was my football coach. And our coaches didn't talk about their personal greatness and accomplishments. They just instructed us on how to be great ourselves. How was the environment in your relationship with Coach Dameron, having him in the locker room with you?
Coach Dameron and Coach Collis and Coach Johnson were all football coaches.
Yes.
But they knew their baseball. So, but when I went out first in 1967, we'd run sprints after a practice, and Collis would come out and play like he's a quarterback. He says he wants you to run pass patterns.
Nice.
See, and he used to call me Puss Arm. I don't know why he called me Puss Arm, but he called me Puss Arm all the time. And then he says, "All right, go run a fly pattern." I said, "What's that?" He says, "Just go out there and turn right." So he takes me. So that's what we do over there.
Wow.
But Dameron, he was a compliment. The coaches, they have their football mentality, but they knew their baseball.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I love those guys, all three of them.
Absolutely. I love them all as well.
Yep.
And you see, I was right at the tail end of the generation where you had football coaches that would double as baseball coaches. So when it was time for football season to be done, all those football coaches would just transition over and start coaching baseball. It was their way of being able to make sure that their guys were learning a technical game like baseball and keeping an eye on them as well, too, to make sure, hey, look, you're staying in shape, you're in a sport, and you're learning and working out different parts of your body and all that stuff to be getting you ready for football. Yeah. So, I mean, I played for Steve Napier over at East High. And I know
his dad's my coach.
And then he coached Coach Walt, coached Coach Rick, coached my dad as well over at East High. But all these guys, again, they were two-sport coaches. We're talking about two-sport athletes. These guys are two-sport coaches back then.
Right. But you played for Collis?
I played for Bowser and Dameron.
Uh-huh. Well, Collis, he took that football mentality, but you didn't want to get him mad. Everybody who played with Collis, when he gets when he get with an umpire, it was a different animal. So.
If I could only get a time machine and go right back to 1960 something and watch Coach Collis, you're giving him the business over at home plate.
The funny thing about Coach Collis, my first time meeting him as a freshman football player, I thought he was one of our coaches at the time until I was reminded who he was in that, hey, when he tells you something, you listen. He's not on the staff right now, but when he pulls you aside on the sideline, you listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. We used to always hear these things. Even though that guy's retired, he's not done coaching.
Right.
So when he comes around, it was like that all the time. We'd get Coach Walt Napier would come up to the baseball field over at East High, and he'd, hey, come on over here. I was noticing something about this or that.
Exactly.
And again, always coaching. So now there's something that I wanted to bring up because I know I hear it from a couple of people, and this is my chance to brag on old East High. Okay. There's only one high school in the entire world that have had 3 baseball players that have played for the New York Yankees.
Yep.
And you are one of those 3 players.
Yeah, it's fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You, Callison, Cowan.
Billy Cowan.
Wow.
Billy Cowan. All 3 former Renegades as well, too.
Yeah.
So that's a
cool.
pretty cool thing. I mean, and at some point –
iconic.
Yeah, the Yankees have to give East High credit, but also BC credit, too, because each and every one of you guys came through this program.
Wow.
Yeah. When I got traded, I was with Cleveland, and I got traded. I got traded with, they call him No Neck Williams.
I love
the Yankees, and Jim Perry, who was Gaylord Perry, brother traded from Baltimore. It was like a three-way trade, and I got traded to the Yankees. I got to put on a Yankee uniform. I didn't get to play very much with the Yankees, but I got to put on a uniform. And the first time I went to spring training, you can't believe it. You walk into a clubhouse, and you got the Yankee mystique.
Right.
You talk about intimidated. Here I walk in there, and there was Yogi Berra and Nelson Howard and Whitey Ford and Mickey Mantle, all these guys. And I'm just like a kid, coming in this candy store. It was unbelievable. But these guys are just they're just great players. They weren't, their egos didn't get above their playing ability. They just knew how to play.
Right.
So.
And was Billy Martin your manager at that time?
Billy Martin was my manager, yeah.
How was that? Because we hear all these stories about the 4-time fired, 5-time rehired Billy Martin.
Well, they used to have a rule, you couldn't drink in the hotel you stay at, right? But he changed the rule. He said he'd rather have you drunk at the hotel.
You got it up.
You just go to your room.
He was a historic coach.
I never saying ball players drink. But that's
right. No, not at all. Not at all. They're not ball players in the hotel room.
Though. Well, Billy,
well, that was what I wanted to ask you. We are Bakersfield kids. We come from what was looked at as a small community back then. Now we're up to 1 million people. But I need to know what was the mind state coming from our environment and going and playing in a big city on the East Coast. How did that feel? Was it a shock to the system to be in that mode, in that environment, coming from our cultural background here?
Well, I got to tell you, even though I played just a little bit with the Yankees, to this day, it's been 50 years since I played there, I get 4 or 5 letters, bubblegum cards, Yankee cards, want me to sign.
Nice.
Wow.
That's how the Yankee fans, even
Yankee
though I
way.
played a little bit,
exactly.
And you'd walk down the street, in New York, and everybody wants your autograph. I played in San Diego and played all the time. I go to a mall, nobody knows who you are. That's just the way it was back then.
Well, so again, being around it now you've been here local. You coached over at Highland.
Yeah.
Won a title over there. Had a chance to hand off that program over there to Mike Garza, and they're doing well. Your time.
Those guys, there wasn't much coach. You know that we could score when we want to score back then, but we had good pitching and everything like that. So, these kids are learning fundamentals a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I grew up and George Culver grew up, we started at 10 years old.
Right.
And we go JBA, we'd play 10 games and wait all year and play another 10 games. That's it. When you get to high school, you don't even really play that many games.
And Mr. Sawyer, that's why I talked about how lucky our players are as we see them warm up behind us. How lucky they are to have guys like you and all of our other, I'm going to say it, legendary players that put the blood, sweat, and tears into the game to be present to help them get to the next level. How did that feel for you, seeing your younger players transition to the next level?
Yeah, well, that feels awful blessed and lucky. I mean, you got to be lucky to get up there, because there's a lot of great players up there.
Absolutely.
And these kids here, they're dedicated. They play year-round nowadays. When I never played year-round, so it was just on-the-job training. Culver, even Kobe, he didn't play year-round either. So
yeah, we just had that conversation.
Yeah.
Kobe and I are basically just about the same age, and at most, as a youth player, I played 6 or 7 months before I got here to BC, and it was a shock to the system that we were playing 9 months as college players here.
Yeah.
And now you've got kids that are playing 11 months a year, yet, and again, being a former major leaguer yourself, but a coach, we see all these different pitchers get lost for seasons because of Tommy John surgeries now.
Yeah.
And we're getting kids as young as 16 years old having Tommy John surgeries. Yeah. Almost as if it's a rite of passage now for these kids to have that TJ surgery and then come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a good player on my team, and so his dad is one of the coaches, and he says, yeah, he's throwing 85, 86. I says, don't tell him that. And he says, I've got the gun on him, I says, don't tell him you got the gun on him, because guess what he's going to do? He's going to throw as hard as he can and not throw a strike. So a lot of these guys nowadays just throw as hard as they can.
Right. Spin it as fast as they can.
But back then, everybody, when you get the ball, you're supposed to complete the game. If you went 8 2/3, it's just something matter with you. You go 8 2/3 innings.
Right.
But you would have to learn how to pace yourself a little bit. You just can't throw 100 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, or like that the whole goddamn game. Your arm will fall off. And that's why all these injuries, I think, is coming.
Well, quick question, Mr. Sawyer, before we wrap it up. 82 strikeouts in the major leagues. Reminisce on your favorite strikeout. was there a player that was like, yes, I got him? Or
Well,
a player that you played against?
Well, I wasn't much a strikeout guy, so I used to pitch around everybody to get to the pitcher.
Get to that 9-hole.
If I complete a game, I'm going to get 4 strikeouts. I got to stay pitcher in there. You know? So that's what I do.
That 8-9 spot's going to come up at least 3
man,
times.
I can't wait to get to those guys. You know? Everybody else, I got to help. I just keep my hands.
I love it. I love it.
Now, again, we talk about that. You know, for football, it's always a welcome to the league moment type of thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show moment is typically for pitchers, it's when that first guy takes you deep.
Oh,
Was there a guy that you could remember, legendary, that got one off you that you're like, you know what? Yeah, I gave up a tater to this guy.
Well, I gave up a lot of them. So. But there's one that everybody remembers, Willie Stargell.
Oh, yeah.
Willie Stargell
golly.
used to always overtop like this, you know, and he had a ball, didn't hit a home run, though. And Dave Winfield's in right field in San Diego. He hit this ball so hard, Dave Winfield just turned around. The ball hit the wall, come back to him, and Stargell got a single. That ball was so hard, it would have went out all parts.
Rocky.
You know?
Yeah, Willie Stargell, one of 6 guys to ever hit it out of Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, these guys were phenomenal, yet not playing year-round. These guys were usually having to get second
Regular
jobs
job,
after
right.
on the off season.
Yeah.
They didn't have training staffs. They smoked cigarettes in the clubhouse. I mean, that's the difference, right, between that time and and what you got now. But again, it goes back to saying, okay, last night you get, Yamamoto for the Dodgers, who goes 5 innings, comes out of the game, and because he struck out 10, we think, okay, that's a great line. Well, he left losing 2-0, gave up a couple of home runs, but still threw like 96 pitches in 5 innings. It's like, okay, well, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you were just getting started.
I know. I played in a minor league game. I threw 185 pitches in a 13-inning game in Portland, Oregon.
Portland.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not counting what he warmed up.
Right.
Warming up and everything like that, but they leave you in there. If you're doing well, they just leave you in there. So you lose or you win. So that's
Right.
what it was.
185 pitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Julian's arm's even hurting from that.
I've never heard anything like that.
Well, I throw so many sliders. That's why I shake hands like this. I do like this.
How you doing?
Well, Rick, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. It's awesome anytime we get to talk. I know we catch up and we're here. We'll go out to a high school game. We'll chat it up. Don't know if you'll have time to go to the East High Hall of Fame tonight. That's tonight.
I'll be there.
So we'll be there and we'll catch up even more. So it's always good to have you. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll catch up with you soon again.
All right.
All right, everybody. This is Rick Sawyer, Kenny Calvin, Rob Chavez.
Told you we're lucky.
We'll come back with some softball action right after this.
Thank you.
All right, here we are back on the Renegades pregame show. Rob Chavez, the Hall of Famer Kenny Calvin, and we are joined by another great guest, and we're kind of shifting gears over here to softball. We see the softball jersey on right here. Yes, this is my man Louis Salas here. Reason why we got Louis on here is because you got a shortstop that lives at home with you, right? That's Sadie Salas.
Yes, sir.
For the Renegade Softball Club here. So welcome onto the show. Thanks for being a part of this. We wanted to have you on more so because we wanted to hear, obviously, about your experience around baseball and softball here in the community as a dad. Yes. Because we are, this Bakersfield College, community college, and really the community comes around this particular program, whether it's baseball or softball, because we have a lot of kids, local kids, that come right here. I mean, you're a local product as well, too, and played right here at BC as well, too. So we wanted to have you share a little bit about that.
Well, and Renegade Rob, one thing we have in common, we're a girl dad gang.
That's
we're
right.
All fathers
all of us.
Of young ladies.
Yeah, we got a prom. Athletes. I got a prom later on that I got to go. Like I said, I got to have a good, hearty handshake with the date. Yeah. What I'm sure you probably had those moments.
Yes, and actually one of them's on the baseball team for me right now. Okay. Yes, sir.
Right. So, Mr. Salas, man, I had an opportunity to spend time with you in the community this week. We know you do a lot of amazing things in the community, but how has the experience been for you as the girl dad, watching the young lady not give up on this mission and have an opportunity to continue her college career?
I mean, it's been an amazing journey for me as her dad, and definitely some challenges along the way. Going back all the way from high school for her, and her expressing her desire to not want to continue her sports career after high school, even though she was doing well. So, just seeing her getting the chance and getting that drive and that fire again to want to play here for BC, it's been amazing, and the journey has been great. She's excelling, she's working hard, and she's, staying motivated and encouraged to, show, what she's been blessed with and the skills that she has. So.
Right, leading the team in stolen bases, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, having that kind of impact, for me is something that's amazing, because I felt like if I was ever a baseball guy, that'd be my best skill. I would have been the Ricky Henderson type. But this is our baseball aficionado. How's it feel for you to see people who come from your community that you've watched play at a high level, and now they're parenting their kids at a high level? For you,
and that's it's awesome, because I got to be around the club scene when it comes to softball and baseball, and so I come from a lot of different places as a former player, as a former coach over at East High, as a club parent, and so I think these are all things that I kind of have in common with Louis and a lot of other parents that end up with their kids right here at BC, is that it's a totally different atmosphere and environment once they get to college. And I know we had a conversation earlier about this with your son, Nick, who was over at Cal State for 4 years, and the type of grind it is once they get to this level. And so as a parent, how was that, and having to navigate your kids through that?
It was tough, because, it's the Bakersfield community has a lot of good athletes. And so just navigating through the challenges of having to live up to high standards and expectations is tough. And the mental mindset and the anxiety and everything that goes along with trying to be great and trying to perform at a high level, it's demanding. Right. And so, one thing I'd like to share is, both Sadie and Nick both had their ups and downs as far as feeling like, man, I'm ready to give up, because the challenges that I'm faced with every day, not just even on the field, but just trying to balance school and, the day-to-day activities of family life, and, trying to, perform well in the classrooms and on the field. So definitely some challenges for sure. And, just the community as a whole, and just being a part of this, facility and the culture here. You have a lot of superstars coming from their high school and come here and having to compete against the best in the city. Right. It's tough.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the point of how important it is to have a solid foundation. And that's why we have you here. Because without having a village to put you in a position to know what's important, sometimes you don't make it this far. A lot of people, for lack of better words, discredit the junior college experience, undervaluing how cool it is and hard it is to get to this point. Kobe said it great in our previous segments. I had guys that I played with at North High that I thought was going to be the big leaguer that came to BC and got cut.
Right.
You know, but when you have that solid foundation and people that are going to continue to put you in the right position, it gives you that extra energy to keep advancing to the next level. And that's why we celebrate people like you. You know, it might be some viewers like, man, why are you talking to the dad? Man, he ain't playing. This is why we talking to dad.
Yes,
Because without dad being that constant force and that consistent angel in the ear that, hey, you know, baby, it's going to get tough, you know, but how you want to handle it is how it's going to present itself. That's why we're highlighting you, man.
Yeah,
and we want to continue to celebrate you guys.
Yeah, and, you know, if you don't mind me sharing, you know, I think social media nowadays, you know, we have this false illusion that we have to go Division I, Division II, and we have to get a scholarship out of high school. But the reality is, I think for me and my family in Sadie, I think this is the best place. This was the best place for her. And, you know, I was caught in the situation of, you know, wanting my daughter to, you know, get the views and likes of social media as well. And so for me, this is the best place that I think she, you know, could have gone. And, you know, for her family to be able to, you know, be at every game, and for me to be able to travel, you know, here in California and stay local, it was a blessing for sure.
Dream come true, right?
Yeah, and that's what we kind of wanted to highlight, because we do get a lot of parents that have those false illusions.
Yes.
I mean, there are those elite talents that have bloomed and blossomed at 15, 16, 17 years old. But then there's a lot of these other athletes, like the athletes that are behind us.
Yes.
They need a couple of years. I mean, Colby Lewis, again, same thing. You know, he even said it right now. He wasn't one of the better players on that North High team that he played on. Came up here, developed, got a great coach and Coach Payton to be able to develop him. You've got Coach Goodman here.
Yes.
She's been everywhere you can think of when it comes to softball.
Yes.
And she's the type of person that can foster that type of talent. So how has it been for Sadie? I mean, what has she said? Because she talked with Coach Goodman last time when we had the meeting, or when we had the interview, and she had great things to say. But as a parent, how's the coaching staff been handling your daughter and handling the team from your perspective?
Well, you know, for my daughter, I think they put a lot of belief and faith in her, and they challenge her. They know what her potential is, and so they definitely hold her to a higher standard. Right. And, you know, and Sadie, you know, we come home and we talk after practice or whatever she wants to share, and she's scared straight of Coach Casey for sure. You know,
I love it.
Without a doubt.
Coach.
And coaches really don't have to say much. She has a certain stare that Sadie says. And the
that
team,
expectation.
The team knows. Right. All right, coach is on us right now. So no, but the coaching staff has been great. You know, I get thanked all the time as far as saying thank you for traveling and coming and watch the games, and you know, so and I try to make every game possible. You know, I know it's coming to an end here locally, so for me, you know, I appreciate
soaking it all up.
Yeah, yes, sir, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. And again, you go back to that. The expectation, the stare, you know, being able to play for somebody like Coach Casey, who demands, she demands, you know, nothing but discipline from her athletes. But you being in the position you are with county, you're responsible for a lot of other people.
Yes, sir.
Not only, you know, the kids that you service, but even the adults that you manage and things like that. This type of program here, whether it sets you up to be able to play at the next level professionally or whatever, or if it just sets you up to be able to go into the workforce, what kind of thing does that do? What kind of mentality can you take from athletics and college athletics in specific right to the workplace, where you're expected kind of this standard, this expectation that you got to be responsible, you got to be on time, you've got to be there in, you know, 100% every single hour that you're there?
Yeah, so I think you know, all the qualities that it takes to, you know, be a good employee, you know, you being a part of a team, you coming from, a team environment, it's just, a stepping stone and a ladder, that easy transition moving into the workforce. And, for any athlete, I think their transition into the world is definitely going to be a lot easier than somebody that don't play sports.
And speaking of that, one thing we haven't touched on is that we're all former Renegade players. We are true. Look under the glasses. He is a former Renegade football player who played on some amazing teams as well. Talk about the experience personally for you as a player. That's what I want to hear before we go. I know we on the baseball field, but we two leatherheads.
Hey, the football
man.
guys right over here.
Leatherhead. We got to try to take over a little bit, baby. But talk about your athletic experience and playing with some of the guys that you played with, playing for the coaches that you played for.
Yeah, I'm coming, prior to BC, I come straight from Arvin High.
High. Shout out to my big bro, Hernan Santiago.
Yes, sir. So, no, I definitely played.
I still got a ringing in the ear from hitting this guy a long time ago, trust me.
Long time ago, yes.
Except for we don't have the tail anymore.
The ponytail, it's all for the looks. But no, so just, I played in 1998 and 2000. We played against San Francisco City College in the state championship, I believe, and I played against some big-time athletes. We had some big teams when the stadium was 5,000 to 10,000, every game, 2 Potato Bowls. So, yeah, coming out of Arvin, California, the big fish in a small city or a town, and then coming over here and having to compete with, all the best athletes on the East Coast, West Coast, and everything. It was definitely a challenge for me, but a great experience that I get to share with, my sons and my family.
But you had that Arvin insulation already between, the Griders and the Damerons, all these Arvin guys.
Too, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, that was my.
He was the head coach.
Coach my sophomore year. He was my defensive coordinator. My freshman year, he was one of the people that believed in me and made me a starter as a freshman. And he was one of the guys you never want to let down.
Arvin guys.
That's it.
Man, shout out to the Arvin family and Coach Grider. Rest in peace, Coach Grider. But that experience, see how beautiful it is and how lucky. See, I'm going to keep saying that, how lucky we are to enjoy this Renegade experience, because it turns into a legacy experience. And now we're sitting here 20 years later, and you're watching your baby girl have an opportunity to establish herself on this beautiful field behind or in front of us, I'll say.
Yes, sir. Definitely a blessing for sure, and I'm honored to even get a chance to even speak on her. But it's definitely an amazing experience.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, we're going to be at least I know Kenny might be sticking around for softball. I'm looking forward to seeing how the doubleheader goes a little bit later today. Wish them nothing but luck. I know they're kind of on that. It's a little bit of an ebb and flow this year, but getting into conference play, hopefully they're going to be able to turn around. But I appreciate you joining us, Louis.
Thank you.
As always, man. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure, yes, sir.
I'll be sending you that email.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to be back with some more pregame action after this break.
What's that? Put this on display or what? And then.
All right, so here we are back at Jerry Collins Field here at beautiful Bakersfield College. Rob Chavez alongside the Hall of Famer Kenny Calvin and yet another
the realer Hall of
Famer right over here. Again, a Bakersfield College Hall of Famer, a Bob Elias Hall of Famer, former Major Leaguer, but more importantly, a former Renegade.
Yes.
George Culver.
BC,
He's got the colors on today.
Yes.
So, George, thanks for joining us as always. We get to catch up quite a bit. We're neighbors as well, too, so I get a chance to pass by his house with my dogs almost every other day.
Are you the dogs that have been doing their thing in my
No,
yard?
no, not that one. No, we try to stay off that nice artificial turf that you put up there.
Hey, I mowed that this morning. Come on.
Well, George, we sit on the board together for Bakersfield College Hall of Fame. You were one of our first inductees. You're the Earl of Oildale. Right away, I want to know who are some of the people that you're excited to talk about having the opportunity to go in this next year. Who are some people who you think deserve an opportunity to go into our Hall of Fame in this next year? Because right now the nominations are open. You can go to GoGays.com, but I want to hear from the legendary Hall of Famer.
Well, I don't want to let any cats out of the bag, but there's one guy you may know as a Manny Calvin.
Oh man, that would be great to see Uncle Manuel go.
But was that the '78 team that won the state championship?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What a team! What a team! I had just started working up here then. I was in season tickets, and that team was so exciting to watch.
Wow.
I mean they had some great players, and I hope we're gonna probably. I'm almost positive we're going to put them in.
Wow,
I
that'll be an amazing team, well deserving.
And another Calvin in.
Hopefully, yeah, and hopefully a lot of them are still around and kicking, and we want to make sure those guys know that we haven't forgotten them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I hear nothing but fantastic things about that '78 team. My dad was in high school at the time, but knew the Calvin family back then and would come up to watch those games because he had a couple of old East High guys that were on that team as well too, and that every time he talks about BC basketball, anybody that was around at that time will talk about that '78 team.
And that era was a great 4, 5, 6 years for Renegade sports because the '76 football team was
right.
They won the national championship
right
before a big crowd in the Rose Bowl, and probably over half the people from Bakersfield. I'd say probably 25,000, 30,000 people just from Bakersfield.
What was that tailgate like? Were you there?
I was there, but I don't remember it because I was there. My wife and I were there, and so we started. We had to go to I think it was the Pyrenees to meet, and that it took about an hour to meet, and then however long it took to drive, and then we had the wives drive, and so we had to talk in the back seat. And, give me another beer, please. So anyway, by the time we got there, I didn't know where the game was. So we had so much fun. I'll tell you what, that was such an exciting thing. And one of my favorite stories about that is that the day before the game, they had introduced both teams. And Jerry Collis tells the story, and it's Jerry Collis. But see, what happened was they introduced Ellsworth, Iowa to the banquet start. And so this guy here, he's from Texas, 6'3", 240. This guy's from Louisiana. He's got this guy and this guy. Wow. And so Collins got and said, okay, well, he said, our third tailback is Gary Blackford. He's 5'6", 160 pounds. Our fullback is Mike Kelly, 5'6", 160 pounds. And they're laughing. Ellsworth was laughing. And so after about the second quarter, they weren't laughing anymore.
No.
Right.
We kicked the crap out of those guys, and it was so much fun.
Game was over before it even started.
George, we had some amazing guests today, and you're just continuing to raise the level of that excellence, between Colby, between Mr. Sawyer, and yourself, some of the golden arms of our Renegade baseball age. Talk about your Renegade experience and how special that was, the beginning, of your experience.
Well, to start with, see, when I got out of high school, the Phillies had made me an offer of $1,000. I thought, man, that's a lot of money. And so I wanted to play pro baseball. I didn't really care about the money. I just wanted to get started in pro baseball. And so I told my mom, she said, well, you better go talk to that guy up at Bakersfield College. I think his name is Collis.
Man, Coach Collis.
So I talked to Jerry, and he said, $1,000? There's no way. You come to BC, I'll get you $10,000. My mom says, you're going to BC. So I went to BC for 2 years and had a great experience for 2 years. My second year wasn't as good as the first because I kind of took it for granted. It was going to be easy.
Right.
And same thing I did sometime in my pro career. And so I got $2,500 from the Yankees. The only reason I got that is because Coach knew the scout for the Yankees by the name of Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones.
And so when I started out in pro baseball, I mean, my whole goals had changed, because I said, okay, and now it's time to get going. And I just breezed through some leagues and started, before I know it, I was in AAA baseball, not even a year out of junior college.
Wow.
That's almost impossible. Wow. And if I look back at my career, I don't even know how I did it.
Wow.
I have no idea how I did it. And so good Lord blessed me and kept me going, and somehow I made it.
Yeah. So we talked to Rick a little bit earlier, and he was, he's always joking around about some of the things in his career, but I think Kenny had asked about that one person that you will always remember striking out, that guy that was like, you know what, I at least got that guy. Rick always said he just joked around saying, oh, I just wanted to be able to look forward to getting to that bottom of the line so I could face the pitcher and strike him out. But for you, who was that you, when you got that strikeout, you're like, okay, I made it?
It wasn't so much a strikeout. I wasn't really a strikeout pitcher. The one guy that I wanted to face, I couldn't, would have been a big throw was Mickey Mantle because I had all his baseball cards when I was a kid. And I'm in Yankee Stadium one day, and sure enough, they announced me he's coming in to pitch, and I heard this big yell, and I thought, these people don't know me. What the hell are you yelling at me for? I look around on deck, and there's a guy got about 4 bats going like this. And I go, oh, my God, it's Mickey Mantle.
Oh, wow.
So he's the first hitter, and you talk about a thrill.
Wow.
I'm trying, my goosebumps, and the ball felt about 50 pounds, and I'm trying to throw it, and ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, and I'm, come on, settle down, man. You can't walk this guy. Score's tied. Okay. So I throw a fastball right down the middle. Whack! I go, oh, no. I'm watching like this. 3-0. You swung 3-0. The center fielder goes back by the monuments, catches it.
Oh.
So Mickey's limping around the bases, and I look and say, yeah, you're not that tough.
Oh, yeah.
What a thrill. What a thrill, though. I mean, what an absolute thrill. So.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine that? I mean, Mickey Mantle back then, I mean, he's every bit of what the superstar that you see with Shohei Ohtani or Mookie Betts or Bryce Harper was back then. So I can only imagine that. Was that at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, Yankee Stadium. First time I ever was in Yankee Stadium. First day I was ever there. And so, I faced the toughest guy I ever faced really was Willie McCovey. I mean, here's this guy 6'14". and the one thing you didn't want to happen, you didn't want him to hit a ball back at you.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to throw him sliders inside and let him hit him an upper deck foul, and pretty soon he'd pop up or whatever, he'd get a rocket somewhere. And so, I had trouble getting him out. I had trouble getting McCovey out. I mean, Yastrzemski, and I had trouble with Clemente. Funny story about McCovey is we're playing in Cincinnati one time, and I tried every pitch I had to get this guy out. I had no pitch to get him out with. So I said, I know, I'll throw him a low curveball because I didn't even throw a curveball that much. So I threw him a low curveball in Cincinnati, broke his bat. All right, fly ball center field, went over the fence.
Wow.
What? So he's jogging around the bases and comes by and picks up his bat. And next day we're out there for batting practice. He comes out of the runway there and he goes, hey, what? You broke my bat. Oh, I'm sorry, Willie. Let me go buy you another one. Gee, man, he's sorry I broke his bat.
Wow. I mean,
so he was a specimen for sure. And I played against 40 Hall of Famers.
Wow.
During that era, and so why me? That's what it says. Why me?
Yeah, we're gonna do. And then that brings us right to this book. You've had a chance to author this book. I've heard you had some interviews about it, but this is. For you, kind of like your way to let everybody know the stories of George Culver and what it was to be the Earl of Oildale. And you talked about who gave you that nickname, right?
Yeah, Vince Scully, because on the back of the baseball card, if you ever see one of my baseball cards, on the back it says hometown, I always put Oildale. Yeah. And so when I come in to pitch, Vince Scully would always say, all right, here comes the Earl of Oildale. And I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. Well, anyway, over time, people would call me that. So I said, you know what, that'd be a good name for the book because it combines two things, my love of Vince Scully and my love of Oildale and the town here in general. So I just a lot of memories that built up over years. You know, I mean, anybody's played sports, you have all these memories of funny things that happen, disappointments, excitement, heartbreak, and so I just had all these memories over. So I started writing. I said, well, how am I going to do this? And so I said, I'll just start with when I was a kid, year by year by year, all the way up through, and it was easy, very easy. Right. And so I even had a chapter in about Buck Owens. He's a big part of my life at one point, and so I had the opportunity to meet a whole bunch of famous people. The most famous person I ever met, I mean, the most gracious for sure, was Arnold Palmer.
Oh, wow.
I love golf, still do. Arnold Palmer was the greatest, most humble personality I ever met, ever. He was just so nice. I just can't think of what a nice guy he was. And to tell you a quick story about him, they had a story about him on the Golf Channel that he had, he gets autographs. I get 400 a year. And I don't know how these people remember me, but they send me the baseball card with a self-addressed stamped envelope. All right. So if they don't put a stamp on it, I still put one on anyway. Arnold Palmer, if you can believe this, spent over $100,000 a year returning letters that didn't have $100,000 a year. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. Yeah, so really fortunate and honored to meet him.
For me, I've had years of opportunities of being a fly on the wall while you're in the room. And as a journalist, we are sponges. We listen to the people who walk the walk and have blazed the path for us. Seeing you complete your book, for me, has been a beautiful experience because I've heard a lot of these stories as your little brother in the corner, just soaking up the information. So I'm excited for the book, but I can't wait for the movie. So this is my question. If you could pick one person to be the actor to play you in your movie that's going to come, who's that actor going to be?
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. All right. I work in Hollywood. I'm going to work on that, George.
Well, this guy here be Willie McCovey.
Hey, Big Julian, Dr. Julian, you got to be Willie McCovey in George's movie. All right. Hey, so I got some few irons in the fire. I know a few people who know Kevin Costner. I'm gonna have to send some emails
see how we can
see if we can get that going.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
One last thing I was gonna ask, because for those of you guys, you've talked about how gracious Arnold Palmer was. I don't know if anybody's been more gracious than you when it comes to local baseball.
Thank you.
I mean, you have, and it's not just one particular program. I know you're a proud North Star. You're a proud Bakersfield College Renegade, but you give back to pretty much every program here in town, including the university on the other side of town, who's had a chance. Right, but at the same time, what can you tell all the parents out there, the local athletes that are looking at continuing on their baseball career after high school, and even all these club parents that are around that have these lofty expectations, lofty goals? From you as an instructor, as a contributor to local baseball, anything in particular that you can say to the new athletes, the new parents, and all that?
Well, for me, I owe this town more than it owes me.
I owe
this town more than it owes me.
I love it.
And so the one thing I could tell kids, and I made a point in the book, is giving is not a spectator sport. You can't. If you're going to give, you can't sit around. You got to get out and do it. And so I enjoy helping people. I mean, we help a lot. I have coaches this year from high school come say, I have some kids that need some shoes. Or I have some kids that need some gloves. Whatever it might be, and we give BC kids going on to 4-year colleges some scholarships. Whatever we need. I got a couple of kids that are going back to Cooperstown on a team, Little League tournament. So yeah. So, it's just so much fun. It's fun to take it in, but it's more fun to give it away. Right. So that's why I say it's not what you make out of your life, it's what you do with it, when you get it. So I'm tickled to death to have that opportunity.
Again, George, one of my favorite moments is being somewhere, seeing you walk in, seeing some people know exactly who you are, seeing the other half have no idea. Based on generations and ages. And the joy I get is explaining who he is to people and reminding them who he is and bragging on your legacies, because you don't do that. It's not necessary. But that's our job. And it's one of my favorite jobs that I get to do, is highlighting how special you are to not only Bakersfield College sports, but to the community as a whole, no matter what color you are. You've been a staple of the community for people of all colors.
Yep.
And this is one of my favorite things about you, the Earl of Oildale. And it's been an amazing experience to have the time with you anytime I can get it. So I'm definitely gracious that you came out here to spend the time with me and Renegade Rock.
You too, guys.
100%, 100%. And again, thanks for those kind words. Again, guys, go out and get the book. How are we getting the book here?
Amazon.com.
So just log on to Amazon. Everybody's got an Amazon account.
Hold that up, George.
Get over there. Find the Earl of Oildale by George Culver. If you need it signed, come out and see him as well, too. So
yeah, Google Amazon.com, put my name in or whatever, and it's right there.
There you go. And it'll end up back in the community as well, too, as gracious as he is. So we appreciate it, George. Thanks for joining us. And good luck with everything.
Greatest town in America right here, boys.
That's right.
Thank
You heard it here first.
We'll be back with the rest of the pregame show.
You guys doing the baseball game?
All right, we're back here on the pregame show, live from our Bakersfield, our baseball and softball complex. Rob Chavez, Kenny Calvin, and we are joined by our head softball coach here at Bakersfield College, Casey Goodman. Thanks for showing up a little early for the 4 o'clock first pitch. We appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, no worries. Good to be here with you guys.
So I heard a little bit off the air that not playing as well as you guys wish, but there's some bright spots that I still keep seeing coming out of these box scores.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. I don't know why it's taken us 28 games to figure it out, but we're pitching well, we're playing good defense, and we're struggling at the plate scoring runs. So I think we went through this like very early on in the season, and then we hit a good patch where we were doing well with runners in scoring position, and now we're kind of back to that spot. So it's just a matter of it's a mentality for our kids.
Yeah.
It's a matter of taking better at bats, better pitch selection, and if we can figure that part out pretty quickly, because we're running out of time, we're still in a good spot. You know, we're 4-2 in conference. Right. Still, all of our goals are still ahead of us, but I wish we were playing a little better right now.
Yeah, and again, one of the things that I looked at, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I was trying to figure it out. Okay, we've got a lot of ladies that are doing really well at the plate, in the circle as well. But I looked at just your schedule, and all these games are moved around. I mean, as a coach, I wasn't always looking for an excuse as to why we're not playing really well. But the way in which the schedule is kind of just all over the place, I mean, you can probably point to that.
All right.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. We played 6 games in 5 days last week, and the only day we had off last week was Wednesday. And so our kids were tired.
Yep.
Not just physically, mentally. You guys know it's hard to
grind.
lock in that for that long of a time.
And you got classes.
In games, classes, study hall. Just being a college athlete. So, I gave them a little bit of grace on Saturday after the last game. We had 11 errors in 2 games. That's very, very uncharacteristic for our team. And I said, you're tired. I get it. But, just like you guys know, when you're tired, you've got to really lock in mentally. And so that's probably been our downfall the last week or so is we're getting tired physically and mentally, and we're not able to lock in for that extra time.
And that's a great testament to it's not always about wins and losses when you're going through the experience. Yeah, we want to win every game, but the losses teach us more than the wins in moments. And as coaches, we have to find new ways to generate energy to find the next streak. So what are some of the things that you do to get away from the monotony of the actual athletic experience, but getting into the mental aspect of it?
Well, last Wednesday, like I said, that was our only day off. We played Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so Wednesday, I said, we're just not even coming to the softball field. We went to the boulevard. We did some team building.
Sweet. That's why I asked.
We ate some appetizers. We bowled. We got to see who was good at bowling. We did the high ropes course, played some games just to get them away from softball and to kind of rejuvenate, why we come out here every day. And then, the next day we played fantastic against a good AVC team. And so just trying to find ways where we can stay away from softball for a little bit. Yep. Yesterday we didn't practice. I felt like we were tired. We were sluggish. So a day of not even thinking, heal up, get in the training room, and let's, refocus on Saturday against a good El Camino team.
Yeah, and you brought up the Antelope Valley game. I was foreshadowing that game. I was like looking up and thinking, man, this is rough. Right in the middle of your guys' schedule, and you guys get AV, and then you guys come out and beat them, and I'm thinking, okay, here's where kind of things get to be able to turn around for you. But like you said, it was just in that middle of that 5 game, 6 days, however it was. So I mean, that's something to build off of. But I'm pouring through everything, and I'm just seeing one person that can really stand out, and that's Serenity. She's just been from in the circle and in the box. She is just tearing it up right now. She's
been doing a really, really good job. For there was probably a eight game span there where any pitch that came in looked like a beach ball for her. And I think she's like number 5 in the state in RBIs right now, and with less games played than the 4 in front of her. And she's really doing a good job in the circle. And I tell her our pitching staff is good, but not a powerful pitching staff. We're not going to strike out a lot of people, so we really have to rely on our defense. And so, you know, that's been the tough thing is our pitchers pitch well enough for us to win, and our defense has got to play behind them. But you know, Serenity's been a driving force behind our success that we've had, you know, in a lot of those games, and so we hope that she continues on that path.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of other ladies in that lineup that are. It seems as if they're getting on for her, and it's the reason why she's driving in so many runs.
Yep.
And I took a look back and watched how some of your ladies have kind of moved around in the lineup, and it seems like they found where they need to be able to set the table for her.
Yeah,
so that's fantastic.
Yeah, the top of the lineup does a really good job. You know, usually when she comes up, there's one or two people on, and then she hits them in. The problem that we're having right now is the middle of our lineup is getting on, and the bottom of our lineup has not done a great job of bringing those runs in. But you know how hitting is. It's streaky, and you know, once somebody starts hitting, they all start hitting. So hoping we start that today against El Camino.
And who do you got in the circle for these 2 games?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I think right now it's whoever looks the best in warm-up. So they'll all 3 throw, and we'll see what it looks like.
Well, one thing that happens when the bats aren't hot, you hope you're getting people on because those people start stealing bases.
Yeah.
How exciting has it been for Salas, seeing Salas have the effectiveness in getting those extra opportunities?
You know, she's been a kid that's been rock solid for us even last year and this year, and that's a kid that you can't teach the stuff that she does. It's just invaluable to our success. So we rely on her a lot. She puts a lot of pressure on herself. I think sometimes she needs to give herself a little more grace. But
That's cool.
But we're happy to have her. She's a great kid.
Yeah, we had her dad on for our community segment. One of the things, you remember when we had Renegade Report, we talk sports so much. We love to bring in a piece of the community to talk about how they're connected to the program, and his eyes light up when he talks about his daughter's experience in playing for you and how fierce you are for her and giving her opportunity to find the best version of herself too. So, Coach, you're doing an amazing job. We never have enough time together, but that's why I want to give Rob some credit, and as well as Todd and the rest of the team and Gio for going so hard for us to even have an opportunity to be out here with y'all in the spring, because
this
we
is
feel
awesome.
we feel like you guys are underserved, and we want to do as much for you guys as we do for every other sport on campus.
Well, we appreciate that. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Good to have you guys out here.
And it's awesome for you to join us and for you to have us out here as well too, because what we're trying to do is be able to make sure that the ladies in this community know that they've got an opportunity to be able to come up here, see if they have what it takes to be able to be a part of your program and grow through it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that, you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
Day.
Good luck today in the doubleheader.
Thank you so much.
Long day ahead of you.
Yes.
And right back. All right, here we are with our final segment here. We're going to wrap this thing up here in a few minutes. It's been an awesome day. I mean, when we thought about this pregame show, we were talking about this in November, right after football season had ended.
6 months of planning.
And we wanted to be able to make sure that this was going to be the jumping off point for us to be able to do more of this, especially as we come up in the fall, and really kind of get back into the things that you were doing prior to the pandemic and the Renegade Report when I wasn't around, and hopefully we can get to where we get back to that point and highlight all these different sports, the athletes of the week and everything. So this has been awesome.
I mean, think about what we just did in the last 40 or hour and a half, I should say.
We had 3 former major leaguers.
3 former major leaguers who grew up down the street. Like, how can we not
What community college has done that throughout the United States today?
Right.
I mean, you got to really think about that.
Point them out.
I don't think so.
I'm going to go do some research.
Yeah. But Ron Valenti was great to lead us off. Colby did fantastic. Rick, George, Coach Goodman, Louis Salas was awesome for us. And we had a chance to talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame and how we got that going on right now on GoGays.com, right?
Right. And the beauty of the Hall of Fame experience, you always every year in the world of social media have people saying, oh, man, why hasn't so-and-so got in? And why hasn't this team got in? This is your opportunity to go to GoGays.com. Nominations forms are open. We're a school with 100 years of history. We need everybody's contribution to know who was great in your periods of time. I know who was great in my periods of time and the periods of time when I was coaching athletes on this campus and as a broadcaster on this campus. But we need the community's involvement and former players and athletes' involvement to highlight who'd you watch that was an amazing player or coach or contributor to the institution.
Yeah, we've got a gentleman in Ron Valenti who was here today. He was a former Renegade, went on to go play for Northridge, and has been a staple in the community around here. Was a award-winning coach as well too in the community. I mean, there's a lot of different people that we can nominate here moving forward. And speaking of other recognition, our current Renegades are going to be recognized here pretty soon with the SAC Awards as well too, the SAAC Awards that are going to be happening in this next month as well too. So it'll be a good opportunity. We're going to have all that information as well too. Visit GoGays.com. I talked about this on the Greg Kerr Show a couple of days ago. GoGays.com has been a fantastic resource for everything when it comes to Renegades athletics.
Beautiful work.
But on top of that too, Gio right over here with our recaps. To be able to bring us that. And Alicia, who gets him the information for that.
Give everybody a hand, man.
That's awesome that we're able to do that. It's on our YouTube page a lot of the times. It's on our Instagram that I see all the time. And you're reposting it. I'm reposting it. You're able to see that. But this is awesome. We just seen our fantastic athletic director that came in, Reggie Bolton, he's on the phone doing work right now. He
always working.
Yeah, always working. 6 days a week, sometimes even 7. But he was the guy who said, he gave it the green light and said, do this.
Right.
We need this.
I mean, it just reminds us of the importance of reflection and how we get to the point to where we can get the $450 million grant to build the new gym and the new stadium and the refurbishing of
the soccer field.
The soccer field and everything that's happened. People don't know these stories unless we tell them.
Right.
I mean, I'm a Renegade, 3-generation Renegade athlete, coach, and journalist, and I'm hearing information today that I just learned.
Yep.
So just think about the average person in the community that wants to know this information. They don't know it unless we present it. And that's the beauty of being here today. Some people may be sitting and like, oh, man, well, why are we doing a show today? This is why. We're an institution with decades-long tradition and legacy that needs to continue to be highlighted. Every sport. Not just my sport, not just his sport. I feel like every sport deserves the same attention.
100%.
And we have the amazing personnel that can get it done.
Definitely. And then talking about that personnel as well, too, Todd Hansen, who's been really the guy that has been kind of that Swiss Army knife here at Bakersfield College and is the conduit for being able to get us on the air, be able to get us the resources that we need. We talked about Annalicia for helping us out as well. our crew right over here, led by the amazing Julian Wilson,
Dr.
as
Julian
always.
Wilson. We had an opportunity to take him with us to a different venue and do some community work. It was great to get out of our environment and prepare us to get back to what we do here on the Atlanta Renegades. You know, shout out to President Flieger and everybody in the administration's office.
Yep.
We're winding down another amazing semester for our student athletes. I'm excited to be here every time I can. I get goosebumps when I drive by. This past weekend, I went to the Lake Ming boat races.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what I did? I stopped, saluted, and had a conversation with my late mother before I went on to the boat races. Harvard on the Hill, Palace on Panorama is one of the greatest institutions in the world, Craig.
That's right. And, hey, we couldn't be doing this without our sponsors as well, too.
Absolutely.
Again, we want to also thank, Carpet Outlet Plus, Valley Strong Credit Union, Barbich, Hooper, King, Dill, and Hoffman. It's tax season, so
Tax season.
they're
Get it
busy.
done. You got a couple weeks.
CSUB, Les Schwab Tires, Pepsi, Sully's, Executive Express Service, and Hawkingden and Palmquist, and, of course, where I'm going to go tonight for the East High Hall of Fame, Luigi's. You know, the number one restaurant in town.
Speaking of, congrats to my man Ron White being inducted tonight too, man.
That's right.
You know, Golden Empire Youth Football. It's one of our sponsors for
Ron
the season as well.
Ron will be going in. Bob Louie, who's an instructor here at Bakersfield College, he's going to be going in. So really cool stuff. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. As always, it's awesome being with my man Ken Calvin. We're gonna transition up. We're going to call a game.
We're calling
here.
some baseball today.
We got baseball. Renegades are looking to sweep the College of the Canyon Cougars. It's always great when we beat College of the Canyon.
It's always great.
It's always great. So join us here in about the next 45 minutes. We're going to be up in the press box, and we're going to bring you live action of Bakersfield College Renegades baseball. Again, for everybody that we mentioned here, for the Hall of Famer, Kenny Calvin, I'm Rob Chavez. Thanks for tuning into this pregame show. If you guys are rewatching this, I appreciate you guys logging on, and we'll see you on down the road. Take care.